Over the years, I've been fascinated by the idea of a lightweight adventure bike that can also double up as a dirt bike. While bikes like the RR480 are one possible boring, heavy and underpowered solution, it led me to experimenting with bikes like the WR450F and especially the Husqvarna FE570. Sadly, they no longer make the big berg. So out of all the Enduro bikes currently on the market, I was keen to see how the Beta RR390 and RR480 would shape up. Why the Beta? Most modern 4-stroke Enduro bikes can serve as a good platform, but a few things stand out with the Betas. The lower seat height, very user-friendly engine and handling characteristics, and a wide ratio gearbox where the stock gearing can suit both dirt riding and loping along the highway easily. The double overhead cam engine makes it a lot smoother on the road than most, and the fuel injection means she will run sweetly no matter what the altitude or temperature. The dual engine and transmission oil compartments provide a higher overall capacity, and a big plus, long-term reliability for the engine and gearbox have been great. I've been checking various forums and chatting with long-term owners and mechanics, and there are no outstanding issues with the Betas. What's not to like about the Betas for dual sport or adventure riding? It's the usual problems faced with any Enduro bike. An uncomfortable seat, the fuel tank is way too small, rear subframe is too weak to carry a lot of luggage, the headlight is too weak for night riding, and the RR480 will probably still be a bit too responsive for some riders. Whereas the RR390's long-stroke engine is a delight for both cruising and hitting the throttle hard. Fuel tank options. We ordered the 11.7 litre or 3 gallon tank from IMS. This was only US $290 and should extend the fuel range to around 300 k's or 190 miles with easy adventure riding. Apparently IMS now have a 4 gallon tank, which is great for anyone wanting even more range. An interesting idea also is this Behego Rally tank, which could be good if you like to keep a very low centre of gravity when adventure riding. Then just take it off for dirt riding. What about that hard seat that causes so much arse puckering? Apparently Seat Concepts is the most popular choice for Beta riders, but they wouldn't answer my emails. In the end I gave up because I stand most of the time anyway. A fun budget option can be to buy a block of medium density foam and cut your own comfy seat. Then just staple some vinyl over the top. Ugly, but mighty comfortable if you get it right. Enduro bikes have quite small foot pegs, the Beta is no exception. It might be worth looking at the Fastway pegs, which provide a bigger platform and can also be dropped down and back to give you more leg room on the bike. The engine. Both engines are superb, with the RR480 or RS500 perfect for anyone who wants a bike that will fly along when you crack open that throttle. Like most big fuel-injected thumpers, the throttle response is snappy from idle, but I highly recommend the G2 Throttle Tamer for only US $70. It transforms the bike into a pussycat at small throttle openings. See our review here. The RR390 has the longest stroke engine out of the 4-stroke range. It loves to lug and has an even more user-friendly nature than the RR480. If you don't need ridiculous amounts of top-end performance, this bike is a great choice. The benefits of fuel injection are obvious: better fuel economy and automatic adjustment to elevation changes. However, it could be worth fitting a fuel filter sock in your tank for adventure riding, in case you get dirty fuel in remote locations. While many debate the usefulness of dual engine and transmission oil chambers, it does mean a higher capacity of 1.5 litres overall. And also on a very long adventure ride, you would only need to carry 750 mils to do the engine oil at 30 hours, as the lack of clutch slipping should mean the transmission oil will be fine for a lot longer. Logic would suggest you could extend that 30-hour oil change if you aren't pushing the engine hard, but by how much? I don't know, I'll leave that up to you. Even 30 hours should get you around 2,000 kilometres of dual sport riding before an engine oil change. The only real drawback with the engine? These 4-stroke beaters use plastic oil pump gears. These are meant to be replaced every 100 hours. Most riders are putting the metal gears from Buono in, and then they can just forget about them. Tyres, a huge range of options here, starting with the cheap Dunlop D606 and Pirelli MT21s to all sorts of hybrid and adventure tyres. I was very keen to try Golden Tyre's new adventure rear, the GT723, but it's not in Australia yet. On his around the world tour, Lyndon Poskett has been reporting an incredible 7,000 kilometres lifespan with this rear, even with a lot of high-speed road work. For now, I opted for Shinko's hybrid rear tyre, the 505 Cheetah. Great grip on the road with its soft compound and close set knob pattern, and seems to be wearing well too. See our Shinko review here. One thing I would highly recommend on the front is a high profile front tyre. I'm running the Golden Tyre GT216 Fatty, which adds to the already excellent inline stability of the Beta at speed. A lot of guys fit steering dampers to enduro bikes for dual sport riding, but I think this high profile tyre is an excellent alternative. For any highway riding, always get your tyres balanced properly, or those rim locks will have you shaking and bouncing your way down the road. In the USA, tubeless are not approved for road use, but personally I hate punctures. The tubeless setup lets you continue riding if you want, or simply pull out your tubeless repair kit and plug that hole. 2 minutes later, you are on the road again. Lovely. Do you need a cush drive rear hub? There are cases of KTM Enduro bikes eventually wearing the countershaft splines with extended road riding, and by extension the Husqvarna FE570s using essentially the same engine. Even with a cush drive hub, my FE570 countershaft was looking quite worn by 12,000 kilometres. The good news, I've checked around and there are no known issues with adventurised beaters in this respect. But if you plan on a lot of road miles, I would still consider a cush drive hub. Hit pause to read more. Luggage is always tricky on enduro bikes. That weak rear subframe means you can't hang a lot off the rear. And you don't want to anyway. These bikes are so light, they handle very strangely if you don't keep that weight centred. The budget option? I used to just strap dry bags to the side of the FE570 with bungee cords, centred the weight nicely and kept it low for a total cost of around $40. The next budget option is something like this third gear luggage bag, which is only Australian $75 here and works great on enduro bikes. Then you get into the good stuff. Krieger, Wolfman, Giant Loop, Nomad Rider. You can spend a shitload of money on soft panniers, tank bags, fender bags. The key is keeping that weight centred and ideally down low. One handy aspect of the Beta is those rear grab rails under the seat, which make excellent mounting points for luggage. Electrics. Good news here, the stator is relatively strong on the Beta Enduro bikes, with 200 watts at 6,000 RPM. So you can run things like heated grips and extra lights without draining the battery. And that weak headlight? By enduro standards, it is actually quite good, but if you plan on riding at night, it will pay to upgrade. The LED lights have finally come of age. Personally, I think it's worth bypassing the HID lights and skip to something like the Cyclops LED headlight. Only US $65 and a ridiculously bright 3600 lumens on high beam that only draws 40 watts. And you can double that for an extra $10. LED light bars have also dropped dramatically in price and could be worth looking at. This RR480 has all the usual gear you would expect for dirt riding, such as hand guards, and mostly I use the heavy duty stuff from Force Accessories, radiator guards, bash plate and case saver. For light adventure work this may be overkill, but for long trips it pays to minimise your chances of damaged radiators and engine cases. I particularly like the case saver, just in case that chain snaps, then holds your case in the middle of nowhere. And ditto for hand guards, they are great for not worrying about clutch and front brake levers if you drop the bike. Old man setup. I'll do a whole video on this soon, so I'll be brief. Lots of adventure riders are old farts. If you like to stand a lot, these steg pegs take a lot of strain off your upper body. Ditto for these twisted engineering flexible handlebars I'm using on the RR480. Just as good the flex bars I've been using on the DR650. The Clake One Light clutch can reduce clutch pull by 75% and is brilliant for arthritic old hands. There's a lot you can do to prolong your riding career. We'll cover it in a video soon. I'm sure there are important things we've missed, but look for the Beta Adventure Bike conversion thread on the ADV Rider forum, where hopefully more tips will come rolling in. Happy adventure riding!